Hey everyone, my name is Alec and welcome to another edition of MASL Midweek, where I break down the past and predict the future for the MASL. The season is winding down, but there is still plenty to talk about, so let's hop right into it. We'll start off by talking about last week's games, and there were a lot of them. As a matter of fact, in kind of a rare case for this season, every single team was playing at least one game this past week. I'm not going to go over all the games, but you can see the results over here. I am, however, going to go through each team and tell you what I learned about those teams. We'll start off with the least surprising lessons and work our way up to the most surprising lessons. My least surprising team from last week is the Dallas Sidekicks, and what I learned from them is that they are struggling as much as I thought they were. Next up is the Kansas City Comets, and what I learned from them is that their offense is every bit as scary as I thought it was. Then we have the St. Louis Ambush. Again, I didn't really learn much new from them. I was a little bit surprised that they didn't handle the Sidekicks maybe a little bit easier. I expected a bit more of a blowout in that one, but overall, I still think this is a very solid team. Next up, we have the Tacoma Stars, and what I learned from them is that I think they are a dark horse candidate to win it all this season. I know that I personally have been saying that I think any team in this league, with the exception of Dallas, has a real shot of winning the championship this year. I think that Tacoma might be kind of falling off the radar for some people a little bit right now. I think this weekend they didn't look awful, but they certainly left something to be desired. So I don't think a lot of people are really paying a ton of attention to them right now, but I think that's a mistake. I think this team still has a lot of potential. I think once this team is fully in sync, they are very dangerous. So I think they've become kind of a dark horse candidate in my mind to potentially win it all this year. Then we have the Florida Tropics, and what I learned from them is that they don't take too kindly to having doubt cast upon them. Considering how they played a few weeks ago, they lost a couple of games, and this seemingly invincible team all of a sudden started to seem like they had some weaknesses. This week they came out and they made it very clear that they are not a team to be messed with and a team that is still ultra dangerous. Then we have the Ontario Fury, and what I learned from them is that they are maybe not quite as dangerous as I thought they were. Still, a very good team and a team that could win it all. But this past week, they just didn't show the dominance that they've had in the past. They struggled against Florida, which surprised me. I thought that game was going to be very competitive, and I predicted Ontario to win that game. So combine that with the fact that they lost last week in Kansas City, and I know they've had some injury issues, but this team just isn't looking as scary as they were at one point this season. Still very good, but I think I have to back off of just how scary I think they are. Then finally, the team that surprised me the most this weekend, and maybe I shouldn't even be surprised at this point, San Diego Sockers. I just don't know what the deal with their offense is. They just can't get it going. I remember during the game yesterday, I filmed this on Monday, they were playing against the Stars, and there was one point, I think it was the third quarter, where they were outshot 2-1. It's just incredible to see that this team just can't get their offense going. Thankfully, their defense has been playing pretty well this season, so it's allowed them to be competitive and allowed them to win some games. But their offense, it's just not going right now. And I had this thought that if I had never seen the Sockers play before, and I had never seen any of their players play before, and this was the first season I had seen them play, I would think they have no chance at winning the championship right now. This team just does not look strong enough on offense to have a chance at that. But of course, I have seen these players play before, and I have seen the Sockers as a team play before, and I know that when they are clicking, they are incredibly dangerous. So I'm not giving up hope on them yet. If I was a Sockers fan, I'd be very concerned right now, but I don't think all hope is lost. I think this team is still very dangerous, still has a lot of potential. It just hasn't been happening this season. So they have a week to figure it out. And if they don't, they're going to be a quick exit from the playoffs. And with that out of the way, we do have some news to talk about this week, but I'm going to kind of roll that in to my compliment sandwich. So we will start that compliment sandwich off by talking about a positive, and that positive is the playoff format. So if you remember, a few weeks ago on this show, I talked about what I thought would be the best playoff format for this season. And I said, I think every team should get in. I think the top seed team should get a bye. And they should model it based on what the NFL did for their conference playoff structure this year. And that's basically what the league did. So I'm very happy to see that. I think this is exactly how they should be going about it. I'm looking forward to watching the playoffs. I think it's a little bit wonky how they've chosen sites depending if the teams are playing at home or if they're playing at a neutral site. That seems a little bit weird to me. But other than that, the overall format of the playoffs I think is very good. It's exactly what I was looking for. So big positive there. Now the negative. A few weeks ago when I talked about what I want to see from the playoffs, I made it very clear that I really wasn't that picky about what the structure was, so long as you didn't call it the Ron Newman Cup. I don't think it's fair to do that with this season where the teams aren't playing the same number of games. There is about half of the league that's not playing due to pandemic issues. I just don't think it makes sense to call this the Ron Newman Cup. It just doesn't hold the same weight that it normally does compared to other seasons. So the fact that they called it the Ron Newman Cup is definitely something I'm not too thrilled with, and I would like to have seen the league use a different title. I know some people have said, call it the COVID Cup. I don't want to see that. Too much negativity associated with that. I want to see something with more positivity, more honor associated with it. It could be another name from the history of arena soccer. I would like to see something named after one of the first responders from this past year. I think that'd be a really nice gesture by the league. But I don't think they should have called it the Ron Newman Cup. I know they want to keep it going. I know they want to keep the tradition alive. But hey, the world we're in right now, there are some traditions we have to let go or we have to skip them at least once. So not too thrilled about that. And then for my other positive this week, I want to talk about Ontario's broadcast. I know there were some issues with some kind of weird camera angles and some switching between the camera angles, but overall, I thought it was a great production. The broadcasters did a great job. They're some of the best in the league. I thought the production quality was excellent in terms of resolution, frame rate, audio quality, all that looked great. So Ontario joins the ranks of the teams that have done an excellent job with broadcasting, and they have avoided that unfortunate pit of the teams that have not done a good job. And with that, I think it is time to do some picks for this week, except not because we can't do picks. We only have one game to pick, so I'm going to do a pick for this week, and that game is the Dallas Sidekicks hosting the San Diego Sockers. I know the Sockers have had a lot of issues on offense. Even so, I just don't see them losing to the Sidekicks with all of the issues the Sidekicks have had this season. I'm picking San Diego. And with that, I can just about wrap this episode up. But before I do so, I do want to give all of you a really big thank you. This is the 30th episode of MASL Midweek. I have had an absolute blast making these videos. It's been a lot of fun to engage with all of you and talk about our sport. And I want to thank you for watching these videos, listening to what I have to say, and to join me as I try to promote this sport as much as I can. So thank you so much for all of that. I look forward to the next 30 episodes. And with that, I can wrap this episode up, but thank you once again for watching. While you're here, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.